Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining our latest or our last, excuse me, YouTube Live with RKL23. My name is Sophia Pascuzo. I'm the Customer Marketing Associate with RKL Solutions. And before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items. So we would love for you, as always, to participate in the chat. If you are on a desktop user, you will see the chat to the right of the video. If you are on mobile, you'll see that chat underneath. And if you cannot see that chat or it is invisible, just make sure you're signed into YouTube to be able to use that chat. And coming in that chat shortly is a link to a form, which you can fill out to receive a small gift on us just for attending today's live event. So make sure you check it out and get to that chat. So today we have John Sabek, CPA with Prophix. John, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, happy to be here today, Sophia. I'm John Sabek. I'm one of the partner account managers here at Prophix. I've been with Prophix going on 8 years. I used to be on the solution engineering team, running product demonstrations and building out proof of concepts for various customers and prospects. My background, as you mentioned, I'm a CPA. Prior to joining Prophix, I worked as an FP&A manager for a large telco here in the Toronto area. And prior to that, I was in public and internal audit as well. So very familiar with budgeting, forecasting, reporting, consolidations, aggregations, and all the pains and headaches that coincide with that as well. From a Prophix standpoint, Prophix as an organization, I guess I could go ahead and chat a little bit about the company to give you guys a little bit of an overview here. We've been around since 1987, so for over 30 plus years. And we were really laser focused on financial performance management, also commonly referred to as FPM. But we've expanded our platform capabilities with a robust consolidation application, along with intercompany management as well. And we're really focused on, the needs and requirements of the office of the CFO.
Awesome. Thanks, John. So I know our team, some of the things that you just mentioned, that's one of the reasons we like to recommend Prophix to our customers, and how it can really transform the office of finance. So you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but what are those typical challenges that you see with organizations when it comes to planning and budgeting?
Yeah, for a lot of organizations, regardless of the approach that they take, whether they're doing a top-down or bottoms-up budget, usually it starts with aggregating data from their source system. So there's usually a manual process where organizations will be pulling data out of their ERP system, their ERP system, their CRM system, if they want to pull in, sales forecast information, their payroll system. And what they'll tend to do is actually go ahead, extract that data manually, drop it into Excel spreadsheets, and then they'll go ahead and parse that out. So they may want to go ahead and break that down by cost center, by department, if they're planning OpEx, location, territories, I should say. If they're planning sales, they may want to break that information out by product line, product category, SKU, sales agent. But it's really manual at the end of the day. And, in some cases, they want to leverage prior year data or a prior year budget scenario as sort of that jump off point. And what we find is, then what happens is they'll wrap some sort of template around that. They'll leverage Outlook, attach it to an email, and then fire it off to all those budget owners. They'll go ahead, then provide their inputs, their comments, and then fire it back. And usually there's a lot of back and forth that goes on amongst those people that are contributing. And we always know that's never one and done. So a lot of times organizations will go through different versions, different iterations. And once again, and a lot of times it's just very, very manual, and there's a lot of effort that goes into building out those annual budgets. From a pain point standpoint, once again, time consuming, manual. Excel is an amazing tool. However, it does have its limitations. It was never really designed from a collaborative standpoint. It's very difficult to drive accountability. And that really tends to be the reason why a lot of organizations don't do as many frequent updates in terms of, reforecasts or forward-looking projections. It's just that manual effort that, some organizations, it takes them 4+ months to put together their annual budget. It's not something that they want to go ahead and revisit a couple times throughout the year. And then as a result of that, the lack of frequency tends to lead to inaccuracies, right? What an organization plans 6 months back, come into the new year tends to be, in a lot of cases, irrelevant. So a lot of times you'll have large variances to what was actually budgeted. And really, from a business impact standpoint, like outdated forecasts can actually tend to lead to misguided decision making, which can have a direct impact on the overall business in terms of revenue and expenses and overall margins at the end of the day. So, like, if anything, nowadays, more than ever, with all the uncertainty in the market, with all the fluctuations with interest rates and foreign exchange exposure, a proper planning process is definitely needed for a lot of organizations out there in order to be, successful and to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure the listeners here can relate to those pain points. In fact, I expect a lot of them are in the middle, excuse me, of the budgeting cycle right now, or since we're coming up in the middle of November, or maybe they've just wrapped up on it. So, how can technology platforms like Prophix help with that budgeting and planning, and kind of address some of those pain points that we just went over?
Yeah, for sure. It really comes down to or boils down to having that single source of truth for all business data and streamlining all key processes. What we do essentially is integrate directly into a company source system. So once again, the ERP system for financial data, CRM for sales information, payroll systems, grant management systems for organizations that are dealing with grants. And what we do is we pull that information all into a central location. What's nice is we can actually go ahead and automate the refresh. So we can actually go ahead and schedule the cadence of that. For some customers, that's done overnight. Others, it's done a couple times throughout the day. You can even run it on demand as well. But what's going to do, it's going to surface all that data and have it available for the end users to be able to analyze and leverage it from a planning standpoint. And then we could also go ahead and streamline processes through leveraging the workflow capability in order to drive collaboration, which can even include approval. So you could have certain tasks that are sent across the organizations, the entire organizations. People can provide their inputs. If there's approvals that are required, that it would get rerouted. And then you could even leverage Prophix for automated report distribution as well. So if there's, a results package, a weekly flash report, a board report, you can actually have Prophix be responsible for the distribution component of it. And really, at the end of the day, this really avoids the heavy reliance on spreadsheets, emails, shared drives, and saves a lot of time too, as you're doing all that manual work of pulling that data from all the multiple source systems into Excel. So really, from a streamlining standpoint, you can easily create, from a planning standpoint, one single template that could be leveraged across the entire organization. What's really beneficial with the product Prophix platform is the fact that security blankets the entire application. So access is based on the user security permissions, and individuals would only be able to provide that input where required. And now this is where we see the centralization and automation make some huge differences for customers in the overall experience when it comes to planning and forecasting and overall reporting as well. It provides really a more complete picture of the business, past, present, and future. It really increases the executive confidence in the actual results and numbers. I'm going to steal the controls real quickly here. Just want to share 2 or 3 slides with you on a couple of customer proof points. So bear with me one sec. Let me see. Sophia, if you could let me know if you see the screen change, that'd be great.
Yep, we got it.
Perfect. So here's one of those proof points that I always like to bring up. This was actually a recent implementation that we did with Logitech, the company that makes computer gear. I'm pretty sure some people on this phone are probably pretty familiar with them or probably have purchased their products. But this was a direct quote that we got from them. And they stated that with Prophix, all the data ties and integrations were fully functional from day one. In the first quarter, we were the most accurate we've ever been, being within 1% from finance guidance spent to actual. Historically, this has been more like plus or minus 7%. So if you just think about that, that's rather impressive, especially for an organization that deals with multi-million-dollar budgets. And a couple of key results as well. Once again, 1% to variance to actuals. They've reduced the amount of hours that it takes in terms of the actual overall process. And they're able to go ahead and drive collaboration now across the entire organization. So they have about 30 people that actually help contribute to the overall plan. So that's one example. Another one is with USA Properties. Once again, here's a quote from their CFO, John Harmer. All of our executives overseeing our 4 functional areas use Prophix to do their personnel planning. As they're doing budgets for the upcoming year, we're able to do periodic reforecasts every 90 days instead of just doing one annual budget. That way information doesn't get stale and we could all stay on top of what we expect to happen. So this is a pretty big trend that a lot of organizations are moving towards, where they're doing, frequent reforecasts. And it's great because it provides them that forward-looking lens and the ability to go ahead and make adjustments as they see things coming down the road. And once again, some key results here, increased budget accuracy, increased overall margins, reduction in overall planning errors, right? With, Excel templates. Once again, love Excel. However, it does have its limitations. It's usually, you'll have somebody that'll go in, create their own calculation, create their own formula, delete a formula, or add a row, add a column, and that really tends to throw off the entire overall budget process. And then that actually resulted in USA Properties being able to undertake additional projects as well, which is actually super impressive.
Yeah, definitely. That's some awesome stories from your customers. Thank you. So, can you dive in a little deeper into the workflows with Prophix, specifically how your customers leverage that as a tool to drive the collaboration?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of our customers will go ahead and wrap a workflow around their key process to drive that collaboration and accountability. So a lot of them leverage it around their annual budget process or their monthly reforecasting process, or even month end as well. The workflow can actually send out various tasks, such as reminders, input tasks, and approval tasks. The overall budget process owner, which is the person that's responsible for the overall plan, what's nice is that they could go in at any point in time and be able to visualize exactly where people are, so they could see what's outstanding, what's been completed, and it gives them a sort of that bird's eye view. Once again, this all leads to improved accuracy, more confidence in the information, and overall time savings. Here's just another example of how Reflexion Medical leveraged Prophix as well. This one is rather impressive. They were able to actually reduce their budgeting cycle time from 3 months down to 1 month, which is basically a 60% improvement from the previous year. And then that really gives them the time back to focus on the value add, which is that strategic planning, or being able to go ahead and actually do that deep analysis on the organization and become that better business partner. Real quick, bear with me 1 second here. Just want to give you sort of an understanding or an idea of what that looks like within the actual tool itself. So this is an example. I'm logged into Prophix right now as we speak. The tool is web-based, so users can leverage their favorite web browsers, Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, all pretty common ones. It is also device agnostic, so you can pull it up on your smartphone, your tablet, your laptop. As long as you have an internet connection at the end of the day, you can actually gain access into the tool. Now, with that being said, this is just an example of a dashboard I've pulled up, and it really speaks well to the idea of surfacing data from those multiple source systems. So once again, if we integrate into your ERP, we could pull in the ERP data. If it's a CRM system, we could pull in sales information, payroll. It could be payroll-related data as well. And the visuals obviously make it nice from the ability to track and analyze data, identify trends or anomalies rather quickly. But in addition to that, on the topic of workflow and collaboration, in my example, if we take a look at our dashboard on the left-hand side here, you'll notice a section called My Tasks. And this is where, as an end user, when they log in, they'd be able to identify anything that they're responsible for completing. So some budget owners may have 1 task if they're only responsible for 1 cost center, for example. Some may have a handful. Once again, it really depends in terms of how involved they are with the overall process. What's pretty neat is that they could hit this little rocket ship here, and Prophix, once again, will pull up this view where they can actually track what they currently have on the go. Anything that they miss will show up within the overdue section. And as they go ahead and complete items, they'll actually show up within the completed area here as well. So once again, really at one stop, they don't have to worry about filtering through their inbox, going through their emails. They have really this one nice section to be able to keep themselves on track. And then once again, from the budget owner's standpoint, there's this really, really nice visual that basically lays out all the different tasks that are associated with that particular workflow. And what's nice is as people go ahead and complete their respective sections, it'll actually go ahead and change color. Right. So it's an easy way now for the person or the team that owns the budget to be able to go in, identify what's complete. If somebody needs a gentle nudge, they could go ahead and fire them off a message, but it's a great way to keep everybody on track. So a lot of our customers will go ahead and create the workflow around, once again, their annual budget process, their reforecast process, along with month end as well.
Awesome. So you mentioned that Prophix is always developing for continuous improvement. One of the hot topics nowadays, I think everybody knows this, is generative AI. So what sort of impact is AI going to have on the planning and budgeting tools such as Prophix?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think most of us actually encounter AI on a daily basis. So for example, when we go ahead and browse our social media feeds, for example, the news stories that are at the top of the page are usually topics that are of interest to you. And this is not by coincidence, but rather by AI using your browsing history to anticipate your needs and interests. So I strongly believe that, AI is really only at the infancy stage. It hasn't yet reached its full potential across every industry and every business function. But when it comes to finance, I think AI will definitely help teams to function better, work smarter, faster, and even make the careers in accounting a little bit more rewarding. So people won't be as focused on the debit and credit side of things or that aspect of the accounting world. There's no secret that finance leaders are operating in real volatile and uncertain times, and their responsibilities have really broadened over the recent years to include more functions and departments that report into the office of the CFO. And as a result, they've been taking on responsibilities for areas such as procurement, cybersecurity, IT, talent acquisition, retention. And with today's data-rich environment, that really means that there's more information to be analyzed than ever before. But with wider roles, there's also less time for the finance team to do so. And this is really part of the reason why, this industry should be really excited about the AI functionality. Because at the end of the day, the tools are able to analyze large, vast quantities of data, and they have the power and the ability to identify trends that can easily be overseen by individuals, right? This really means that, at the end of the day, they'll have better insights, more accurate reports and forecasts, and be able to, perform or make better informed strategic decisions along the way. Yeah, so once again, it really comes down to the fact that AI is really going to be a tool that they're going to be able to leverage to make things faster, analyze thousands of data records in a second, and really become more reliable because it can make a recommendation over a larger data set than you and I would be able to go ahead and take a look at. Right. So from our standpoint, the way we see it, it really is a tool that's going to be able to streamline routine tasks like report creation and even general inquiries, leaving individuals free to focus on the more interesting and rewarding value-added activities. The important thing to understand about AI is that it's just not another tool. It's really a means to an end. And once again, with today's environment, some form of degree of AI in decision-making really is going to be an essential part of the process. And organizations that, make the use of these tools or have them at their disposal and understand which types of automation and augmentation or support are appropriate are really the ones that are going to be able to leverage that technology to truly become competitive.
Definitely.
And then
agree with
the
that.
last thing that I would want to say with respect to AI, and it really comes down to ensuring that the data is clean, right? So it goes back to the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. We want to make sure that you have key processes in place, data is being captured accurately. Because once again, if there's anything that relates to the predictive side of things, it's taking a look at that historical information to provide that forward-looking lens, so to say. And there's a number of features within the product that we actually leverage AI functionality. We have anomaly detection, which actually goes ahead and screens all the individual transactions to look for outliers or anomalies. We have what we call chart insights, which actually leverages off of natural language to actually provide you a commentary or description based on the variances. And then we also have our predictive forecasting functionality as well, where Prophix can actually go ahead and provide you a predictive forecast based on historical information and data.
Wow. Definitely sounds like you're got ahead on the curve for that AI, and like I think everything nowadays, like you said, everything includes AI. So great, thank you. Well, I think that's all the questions that we have today, and oh, my lights came back on. Thank you, John, and everybody at Prophix for all that important information and updates. And for those of you watching, if you didn't already, please register to receive reminders with that form that's in the chat, so we are able to get you that small gift for attending today's live. Again, thanks for joining. And if you want to view any other RKL23 lives that we've done this past year, you can click on our name below, RKL Solutions LLC, and then click the live tab, and you'll be able to find all of our RKL23 lives from this year. And with that, we're just going to wrap up real quick with a quick commercial break.
You're a strategic advisor for your company. You're trusted to make timely, informed business decisions. You drive progress, and you do all this while navigating an ever-changing business landscape. Finance leaders have to move with confidence and agility, and most of all, finance leaders must take their companies to new levels of financial performance. Meet Prophix, the financial performance platform designed by finance leaders for finance leaders, just like you. Prophix helps thousands of leaders across the globe transform the way they budget, plan, consolidate, and report. By centralizing all your financial data into a single, unified, cloud-based platform, you'll be able to pivot when needed to meet the business challenges of today while proactively planning your way to a more successful tomorrow. Prophix, see what you can do. As a finance leader.
Okay, thank you all for joining today's live.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
See you, everyone.